What's up, everybody? You are listening and you are watching the Complex Sneakers podcast. We are back in studio, feeling good, as always, with my guy to my right, Mr. Matt Welty.
We're here, we're live, we're back in person. We're living
good.
life, right?
It's different.
And of course, to my left, he has a look at he came prepared.
How so?
You got the lint roller. You got the lint roller. Show them.
I mean, this is the first podcast I've recorded in so long where I'm wearing pants. Do you guys wear pants when we record this at home?
Yes, I do actually.
Okay, so
I wear pants, but I'll definitely wear sweats.
He's already talking over himself.
No, I wear pants too, but now that we're on video briefly, I do have to make sure I'm fully lint rolled.
Okay, you just threw it on the ground, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Feels good. You know, everyone has asked for video.
Yes.
And we've been flirting with the idea of bringing the Complex Sneakers podcast to video. We have to make it clear. This isn't what it's going to look like if we do decide to do video consistently, but we are here.
Like a test run.
Yeah, it's a test run. So let us know.
And it's
JLP
not
in the
be live.
Canadian tuxedo, yeah. And to be fair, look, I'm reading the chat already. First time I did the Canadian tuxedo, but you showed up denim on denim too. And
I switched it up a little bit.
Yeah, he switched it up.
I love the fact that people think that there is a video version out there and we're just like magically hiding it through this secret link on the internet that you can't access.
It's the comments you see every week. And if you're listening to this in podcast form right now, the background is we're doing a live video version of this before recording, so we're going through some things right now, testing some things out, like Joe said, so that's what's going on. So we're going to be interacting with the chat here. We are watching the comments, good or bad, and we will shout you out if you say something particularly interesting.
Or if you say something awful.
Exactly, if you say something awful. How do we feel to be back in the studio? You know, what we were saying is that we haven't really recorded together in person in like 11 months.
Yeah.
The last time was Premium Pete. You were over at my apartment. This guy to my right.
He was a little under the weather.
Little coronavirus.
Yeah, he was. People are complaining about the sound though.
People, more important than that, people are saying I look taller at this angle, and I'm so happy that for the first time on the internet, I look tall. This is, if that's really the case, then we need to go with this setup for as long as we possibly can.
Listen, I think we need to do, what if we do all the protocols, let's just do this every week.
You think so?
I think
we'll put the guest on the monitor, or maybe, you know, distance, we get some New York guests.
People saying audio super low. Let us know in the chat. You know, I'm not afraid to project a little bit.
Sound is low.
I don't want to yell at you people. They're also asking what's on feet. People want to know.
What's on feet? How do we show? Let's see. I got the Union 4s.
Can you stretch up there?
Yeah, the Union 4s you guys can see.
The amazing part about this though is just looking at the live stream, Brendan looks like he's a guest on Hot Ones with like the black backdrop.
Yeah, he does.
Very, very professional.
Dave Matthews, how we doing over there? Super producer Dave Matthews, he has the headphones on. It was snowing out today though. He wore these boots, these Timberlands. They are not the 6-inch premium. They look, they kind of, I don't know.
Undercover cop.
I don't know what those are.
But what's on feet, Joe?
What's on feet? I thought I showed Union 4s.
But you got to say it because the people might be listening. You know, this might be Friday.
Union 4s.
We don't want to leave the audio.
Union 4s, you guys know, we did our top 5 sneakers of the year. Union 4s, something that, you know, people hate. We know the story. Get the violin out. Get the violin out.
Which number pair is that of yours, though?
Okay.
No, but which number pair is that of yours?
Just talking over the whole. He runs through the red light always. I have a few pair of these. But I've been wearing the same pair because you guys know I like to beat them up. I feel like the Unions are a shoe that are meant to be deconstructed.
Joe, can I interrupt too? Because Carlos in the chat asked if there are any signed copies of the Complex Sneaker of the Year book going up for sale today. I want to explain that to you, Carlos. We are here to talk about some chapters in the Complex Sneaker of the Year book. That's our theme on the podcast today. We are not here to sell any books, but we are going to give away 10 copies in the live stream in the chat. Gentlemen, how are we deciding who earns these books?
Okay, so we went back and forth with this. We thought, oh, whoever asked questions, but what we want to see the fans who have been with us from it's been a little over a year on the Complex Sneakers podcast. And you know, we do have a lot of inside jokes. That's why I love this podcast so much. We all host shows, but we can't really talk about kind of our sneaker history on our shows, but the Complex Sneakers podcast, trip down memory lanes. We have a lot of guests that come on and tell stories, but we also share a lot of inside jokes. So we want to give books away to people who we could realize have been following us from the beginning.
The super fans.
Yeah, exactly.
So if we see anybody in the chat who we feel like has really earned our respect, which is not an easy thing to do, then we may just shout you out and we may send a book your way. These are all signed. We broke our wrists scribbling in the inside cover of these.
We did also.
Only 10 of them.
Should we address the little elephant in the room? If you got a
we should address it.
Okay. Let's address. If you got a book that
tell the people, Welty. No, Welty, tell the people.
So we have a little bit of, I wouldn't say a technical difficulty,
right?
But we had to sign 200 books. It comes out that there are a couple books, not a lot, to my knowledge, only 2 so far, but there are a couple books where I missed signing them.
Okay.
So
what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
How are you gonna make it up to those people who bought?
Well, he's
hit me up.
Better go to the UPS store because
hit me up on Instagram. Honestly, send me a DM and we will get it all sorted. Someone already sent a book on the way. And
do you want to check if
yeah,
that
see,
one in
Smalley
front of you?
John, Joe with the silver Sharpies. That's something that they picked up from an earlier podcast. Let's make sure that we are flagging these comments with the inside jokes.
Are we giving that person a book?
I think we should, right?
This book is
what's her
signed,
name?
Brendan.
Because I stole Edgar Hernandez, CRO's silver Sharpie to sign the books, the CRO of
They
Complex.
are
if you were listening.
signed.
Get this guy a book. Smalley John, Joe with the silver Sharpie. That's the type of insidery information that if you've been listening to
What's
us.
the username?
Okay.
I just
again,
want to make sure he gets the book,
How many
and
times
it
I
better
have to
have
say?
Welty's signature on it.
Oh yeah. Don't give him 2 out of 3. Whoever said the silver Sharpies, put your name in the chat again. Smalley John.
I checked mine too. This one does have Welty's signature on it, so whoever gets this book in the mail, don't worry.
Yeah, one job Welty. One job Welty. Another JLP with the silver Sharpies. So yeah, they're trying.
Somebody asking if there's a giveaway on Premium Pete's pasta sauce. Should we do
Oh,
a big
we need to set
collab?
that up. Listen.
Maybe a fan. Well, hold on. Just let me
ahead.
paint this picture real quick. Maybe we do like a dinner with the fans, sponsored by Premium Pete's pasta sauce.
What, like a Zoom dinner?
Yeah.
You know who's doing that? Kind of the Impractical Jokers. They pivoted from their pranks to dinner every Thursday. They kind of do a funny dinner, and there is some sort of connection. I don't know if we want to say.
Maybe I don't know, because you don't want to jinx things before they happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I will not say, but we are. You guys shot your first episode of FSR.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Someone asking where the Yao Ming sign is.
The Yao Ming. Oh, that's a good one, right?
Do we want to give? We can't give away all these books too early.
I know. Hold on. No. Yao Ming definitely. Rudy Calderon. That's another inside joke. When I was working at the finish line, bright-eyed 18-year-old guy, Yao Ming, 7'7", the cardboard cutout. My best friend Rudy Calderon got it stolen from the finish line, and it was carried throughout the mall, and we still couldn't catch him. So, Dave, I hope, super producer Dave Matthews, I hope that you got that guy's name. That's another inside joke.
And you finessed a weekend trip for 2, you and Rudy, right? On Diodora to
Diodora, yes.
To Italy.
That wasn't a finesse, honestly.
Yeah, you're like I need my personal photographer to come along on the trip, and you got a trip for 2 to
Diodora headquarters. Yeah, my first time going to Italy.
We got to set that up again once this is all over.
I know, but we got a long way to go. We just listen. They barely let us in here. They barely let us in here.
I've barely been going outside. I'll tell you what. I had some big ambitions this weekend. I feel bad. I let myself down. I let the people down. I tweeted that I was going to go out and get the Keith Simpson's donut. It was the only thing I was looking forward to all weekend. I barely.
So you weren't really outside?
I was not in this one instance. I was not. I did not go get the donut.
Let me tell you something.
Tell me, Joe.
You guys know I have friends at Kith.
You have friends at Kith?
Yeah, it's been
I mean,
well
you're only
established.
wearing a Kith Tommy Hilfiger jacket.
They can't see that, the back. But listen, you guys know, I have a close relationship with my guys from Kith.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get the donut, and I asked for it.
Yes.
Whoa! I couldn't get the donut. I could not get the donut. I live very close to the donut plant in Brooklyn.
They couldn't seamless you like the donut
No.
on some
Joe,
special.
wait.
No.
Joe
No.
LaPuma's Kith clout is not enough to get him the donut?
The donut was another type of rare.
The Simpsons donut.
The Simpsons donut, the pink.
from the
it was,
Kith collab.
and I think they had a milkshake. I was interested in the donut.
How is that possible?
I tried.
But the levels of
tried.
it, though, just for context, I know we've mentioned this on the podcast before. Joe LaPuma has a menu item named after him at Kith Treats, and he can't even get. Did you threaten to pull the JLP off the menu?
I don't. No, I don't do that. I don't do that. I'm not.
Ronnie in the
but
chat.
listen, you know, like you hit them up. Oh yeah, we'll sort you out. Blah blah blah. And then it's crickets. That Sunday, you know, I'm watching the NFL. I'm waiting. Maybe that donut comes in right in between the two games.
Yeah.
Sure enough, nothing. So I don't know if anyone got. Joe getting his nose broken for love. Wow. People listen. People listen.
Someone flexed on you, Joe, in
The
the
chat is going off. Who's saying what in the chat?
JLP spent too much money on the Off-White Air Jordan 5. They paid attention.
Yes.
I waited and bought it at a great price.
Okay, what price?
He wants a book because of it.
No negative reward for dissing.
Oh, a lot of people asking me to do some magic cards now that we're on the stream.
Do you have them? I was on Twitch yesterday, and a magic card comment leaked in. They said, "Where's Brendan Dunn? Are you going to do what is it? Pulling? Do you pull magic cards?
Oh, like crack open some packs or something?
Whatever you do, I'm asking.
We can do some booster drafts if the people really want it.
Some real knowledge in here, though. They said someone have JLP's private driver go pick him up a donut.
The donuts.
People are fishing for the book. You guys might be trying too hard right now.
I know. Also, let's get some jokes about the not jokes. No, not jokes. Not jokes about him. But listen, what I will say, we posted a picture of us three. A lot of comments about him getting in shape. Look at him.
He looks good.
He has the collar. Look at. He has his cuffs. I don't know if you could pan down his cuffs a little. Yeah, pan down the cuffs. I don't know if there was a flood, but look.
This is the part. This is the part that the listeners on the audio-only version of the podcast missed the most. How good Matt Welty looks right now.
They sit normal when I stand up, but they rise a little bit when you're seated. Did you guys work out this morning? No.
I meant to go run, but I was a little bit sore because I just got back on the wagon yesterday. By the way, I want to mention, Welty, I interrupt a lot when we do the full-size run live streams, and it's because people come in with the donations in the chat, and people are donating money. Again, those listening,
why are they doing that?
We are doing a live video stream, and I want to get to those people because if they're paying, somebody paid $15.
Where does that money go?
I have no idea.
All right,
I have no idea. Maybe to buy us Kith donuts. Todd Yates said.
No, that money should go to however much we raise. We should sign some more books and send them out.
Okay.
Where's that money going to?
But we got to get to him. Todd Yates said, can we get back to the on-foots and why Brendan isn't wearing Reebok?
Oh, yeah.
Let's address the elephant in the room. Go ahead. But listen, I think both of you guys have sneaker deals. I'm not going to,
We're not going to get too far into
both you guys have sneaker deals. I'm the only one who doesn't have one.
It's not like you haven't been offered one, though.
Did you just wrestle the attention back away from me after, after 3 seconds?
We're waiting for you.
Okay.
We're waiting for you.
What do you have on foot, Brendan?
I'm wearing some Nike Dunks. I don't think these came out yet. This is women's sizing, so this is a women's 12, but they're doing like the unisex sizing right now. All those Dunks, the release dates got kind of pushed back and shifted and things like this. My friends at Soulbox did help me out with this pair. They said I was okay to say that. I don't want to out anybody, but they said they would appreciate it. By the way, I didn't really realize this when I first looked at this Dunk, but I feel like it kind of has, are the orange hits in here? Is that like a reference almost to that blue and white Off-White Jordan 1 with the orange laces, the thing that Welty hates so much?
That's yellow, right?
What is he I literally have no idea what he's talking about.
That shoe's yellow and not orange, right?
I had the whole theory built up in my head.
That shoe's, it's a UCLA colorway. It's blue and yellow, and now you're set tripping on Oregon, so you need to take the shoes off.
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about.
I'm a little bit colorblind.
Yeah, but they're yellow and not orange.
They looked the accents in it looked orange to me, so that's how we got here. We have one more person, Icy Souls 23, saying for $15.
Icy Souls, I forgot. Remember Icy Souls?
Of course.
On
Much
Twitter?
love to you guys.
They're still around.
Yeah.
Listen every week and can't wait for future guests. How about the crazy story of JLP throwing hands and finish line back in the day? That was a crazy story.
That was a crazy story.
We have plenty more crazy stories. And
wow, they're spamming it though. Mike P spamming JLP throwing hands and finish line. Yeah, I got my nose broken finish line.
People asking me to fix the side mirror. Whose ever side mirror I ruined never contacted me.
That's a good one.
I can still repay that debt.
The side mirror is a good one.
Do we want to give that person do we want to give them a book?
Yeah.
Okay, Leko Bess, LEKOBESS. You get a book. Please reach out to super producer Dave Matthews.
I think Joe
sort you out with a book somehow.
I think Joe is paying people to make these comments now.
No, I'm not.
Because
I have not paid anyone.
Brian Lara paid $3.99 to comment. JLP needs a Rolex deal. 4 isn't enough.
Thank you, Brian Lara. I appreciate it.
And that's crazy because
Brian Lara.
Can they see the Rolex right now? Joe actually
no.
He tucked the Rolex in.
He tucked it?
I'm not showing.
We're on video. You got to show it, Joe.
No, we'll do it.
Joe gets a little.
I'm going to get animated. Everyone knows I talk with my hands. It's bound to peek out.
There we go.
So,
Joe gets a little shook walking past the hotel down the street.
That's not true.
What is that?
Our next door neighbors at the office.
Look at, see, he's already acting up. The last live stream I was on with you. Listen, we've come a long way since the last live stream. Do you remember that one?
Oh, God.
Anyway,
I can't comment on
Anyways.
that.
Okay.
That doesn't exist on the internet more.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, my God.
What's the sneaker news this week, though? Has to be some.
Our boy Nicholas.
Yes.
At the inauguration?
Yes. So Brendan Dunn got the story, the inauguration, the Dior Jordan 1s trending #1 on Twitter. Mina Harris's husband.
Partner.
Mina Harris's partner, excuse me. We saw, people were saying, who is that? Who is that? Bobby Hundreds.
Bobby Hundreds cracked the case.
Yes, Bobby Hundreds with the alley-oop. And we found out that it was Mina Harris's partner, Nick. And everyone was tweeting about it. Everyone was posting about it. But the guy to my left tracked him down.
It was a team effort. It was a team effort.
Bobby Hundreds.
As with everything we do. And we got the story.
Go ahead. We want to hear about it.
Yeah, spoke to Nick over the weekend via email and got the whole backstory on how the sneakers ended up on his feet. It was kind of a spur of the moment decision, but he had a lot of things to consider. And I think sometimes people see the people wearing the Dior Jordan 1s and they assume it's just some rich person who doesn't necessarily know a lot about sneakers or appreciate sneakers in a deep way. But he really broke down in this piece the background of him and sneakers and him remembering certain people when he was growing up and associated with certain shoes and things like that. So Nick is a real sneaker guy and a real guy, and I was happy to have the conversation.
What I liked about that article, he started rattling off sneakers and with the colorway, listing them. You could tell sometimes whether, I like the Jordan 11. Nick was very, very particular. He was rattling off these sneakers with the specific colorways. And
you know what else we got to talk about in sneakers right now? It has been a wild week for foam posits.
Yes,
so first, Virgil at the Louis Vuitton show with the Virgil foam posits. What do we have a nickname for those? The Louis foam posits?
That one.
Didn't you correct?
No, I was joking when I said it looked like the Air Max Wavy, which was like a $60. It was just a joke because I used to sell a shoe at Foot Locker for like $50, and that was kind of the joke around it. But it does look like a foam posit. I know Brendan brought this up because you also want to get off all your pre-written jokes about the Comme des Garçons foam posits.
I like those.
In the nickname.
I would wear the black ones.
They kind of look like crop circles a little bit on the side, right?
I was really stressing trying to figure out the right meme for the shoe, and I couldn't figure it out. Somebody said a girdle iron or something like that, with those concentric circles on there. I don't know. Welty, do you care about Comme des Garçons Nikes at all, let alone Comme des Garçons foam posits?
I think that if someone were to tell me that Comme des Garçons was collaborating with Nike, I would say, wow, that sounds really interesting. Every time I've seen a Comme des Garçons,
they're wiling. The 180s are amazing.
180s are amazing. Every other Comme des Garçons Nike is just a random model in all black or all white.
With the price tag way high up. Remember those 180s were like $270. The 180, but it's a 270. No pun intended.
And the joke is, with all due respect, that everyone in our art department does a group order and buys the shoes, because you go in the complex office and there's like 6 people wearing those shoes at once.
Yeah, because they have style, and also shout out to the art department.
Exactly.
See the graphics. Look at the graphics. Shout out to everyone who built this stage and put the graphics, and you guys are going to see when we go through the book that we're here to do.
We got some more paying comments.
Okay, he's interrupting.
No, he's got it. For the people who paid, Joe, we got to give them their shine.
Okay, I don't know how this paid thing goes.
Louis Gomba said, first of all, shout out to 3 of you putting me on the 992s and liking my tweet.
Okay, Welty gets credit for the 992s.
Second, Welty, sell me the Laser 4s. Sorry, the Laser 4s are already sold.
How much did you
they
sell
sold.
The
Hold on, they sold. He wouldn't sell it to me for $600. Then I got a listener of the podcast sold them to me for $600. As soon as that shoe was in my possession, our good friend of the podcast, PG knows, all of a sudden I see the Laser 4s for $1,000. How long did it take to sell?
Well, the funny part was I hit the group chat saying, hey guys, I'm going to sell these or whatever, and you guys said we already both saw them on PG's IG story.
Yes.
I knew it.
Yes.
And they sold for $950.
Good for you.
Are you buying GameStop stock with that? What are you doing?
I want to buy
stock?
An Echo fitness bike. Not Mark Echo.
Is that like?
It's one of those like assault bikes where you do the arms and ride it.
Stationary thing?
I don't know.
Yeah, at the same time.
Gotcha. I don't know why people keep saying, JLP, how much have you cashed out on cards? I don't cash out cards. The guy to my left has the most extensive Magic card collection in the Northeast. Who do you trade with? Franelations after hours? Is Franelations a Magic card guy?
He is, I think.
Okay.
But I don't know if he's, a lot of people like, this whole card boom is people cracking packs and trying to get them PSA graded. I play them. You know what I mean? I put them in a deck. I shuffle up 60 or I shuffle up 40 and I play them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So Google Brendan Dunn GP Portland if you want to see my cash finishes.
Wow.
The disrespect.
Look
though.
at that. Look at that. Even Dave Matthews, who, listen, okay.
The disrespect.
We hear you a little bit, Dave. Super producer Dave Matthews, we hear you, but okay.
The disrespect that I got, though, is that you guys had seen over Christmas break or whatever, I was breaking out like all those old like streetwear T-shirts and, and whatnot.
Yes.
And so I think I posted like because I found my old baseball cards, my old sports cards at my mom's house, or my parents' house, so I want to show them off, right? Because I have like Michael Jordan and Larry Bird and all whatnot. And I found like two Derek Jeter rookie cards, and I sent them to Josh Luber, and I was like, or on Instagram, and I go, I'm gonna retire off this, and he's like, you have 75 cents.
Wow, the humbling, swift and fast from Josh Luber. Wow, you have to get them graded, right?
Yeah, or the cards may not be as rare as you think they are.
People keep asking, I think it's the same person who keeps asking about my brother cooking my cool gray 11s. That's a real story.
That is
we'll
a
talk
real
about
story.
the Jordan 11 more in a bit once we get into this complex sneaker of the yearbook, which is part of the reason why we're here.
Yes.
By the way, if you don't have the complex sneaker of the yearbook, there should be a link in the description of this YouTube video to buy it. We can also put a link in the podcast description. And also, if you're watching this video on YouTube, you're watching us live and you don't know about the Complex Sneakers podcast, please do check out the link in bio, because we will have a link in there to where you can listen to all the old episodes. And I will say humbly, in the past year, we built up a bit of a catalog. We have lots of things you can go back and listen to, a lot of sneaker history in there. So please check.
We have over
the
50 episodes, right?
Yeah. We've been
Definitely
doing it.
have over 50. Yeah, definitely over 50 episodes. And the good thing is that a lot of the podcast episodes, mostly all of them, are pretty much evergreen, and you could go back and revisit. So, do you own the GMT2 Pepsi? I don't, but that's a good one.
The Rolex thing.
Yeah, Malik R. I see JLP with the Drake outfit. I see it. He keeps saying it.
Who owns more Rolexes?
I see you.
You or Joe Biden?
All right, Dave. You gave us a signal. What was the signal?
You asked how many episodes? 62.
62
Whoa, wait a minute. Did somebody really just, so this happens,
wait,
I know. This happens sometimes. Okay, for the people who are listening to this, we're on the live stream on YouTube, and people can donate money. And sometimes they donate money in different currencies, and you can't tell what currency it's in, and it might trick you. So we have Nazim Saliji, which we appreciate the donation.
What is that?
And it's $99.99, but I don't know if that's USD. They are wishing us all the best.
No, it is. That is USD.
Where is this going? I'm confused. I don't get it.
Brendan, if it's not USD, it gives the
currency?
Yes.
Well, so we need to fucking bring this person on the we need to do something more for Nazim here, because they just gave us $100.
They get a book. They get a book.
Nazim Saliji is getting a book, a signed complex sneaker of the yearbook.
Are you writing that down?
We still have 7 more complex sneaker of the yearbooks, I think, to give away during this one. But Nazim Saliji just earned themselves a book. And if you don't get a book in the giveaway, remember, these are available at fine booksellers everywhere.
Yes, they are.
If you have to go to Amazon, you can go to Amazon and buy the complex sneaker of the yearbook. So please do that. You know, there's a long list of things. Check out the podcast, check out the YouTube, but also buy the book. It's important.
Yes, you know, and that's the thing with the sneakers programming that we have at Complex and Soul Collector. Monday, sneaker shopping 10 a.m. Season 12, the episode premiere with 21 Savage just went live yesterday. Thursday, you guys have a new episode?
New season, maybe?
New season. What season are you guys on?
Season 9.
Wow, season 9.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Look at us.
I wish we could say who. That's the funny thing too. Sometimes you have to tiptoe around the timing, and a lot of times when we record the Complex Sneakers podcast on a Tuesday, and we'll talk about the full size run guest because we know it isn't up till Friday, but we're live right now, so we can't even spoil for the people who the guest is on this premiere. Can we, Welty? Welty has a wry smile on his face.
Not that I don't care, but it wouldn't bother me.
Okay, so the donations do come. Okay, the donations are spoken
Canadian.
for. Appreciate everyone who's donating money. Wow, that's amazing.
Jordan Shevsky saying, Brendan and Welty, save this up for the next Monday.
Wow, here's put one on the spot. He says, Brendan, would you rather work for Welty at Foot Locker or JLP at Finish Line?
Oh, that's a great question. That is a great question.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, I want to hear. And no one takes offense to this. But also, no, go ahead. I'm not going to influence you.
What's the caveat?
I mean, the caveat is no caveat. Go ahead.
You were going to say about the sales numbers of your store?
You know, work for, one was a MIT, one was a
assistant manager.
Okay, but what's higher, MIT or assistant?
What is MIT is manager in training? We
so
learned that in the
hold on. So when a store becomes available, you're like next in line. Assistant manager, kind of got to climb up a little bit more, but Answer. Done. That's answer.
I think Welty and I would have had a better time working together at the Foot Locker.
Also, small caveat.
Because the thing is, like when I go into the stock room at Finish Line to put something out on the shelf, and I miss the JLP sticky note about "Don't touch this belongs to Joe or I'll kill you," and he fires me on the spot.
That's not true.
Also, I never got punched in the face while working.
Welty's work environment back then sounds less chaotic than yours, Joe. So I'm going to work for Welty at the Foot Locker with all due respect to the Bayshore Finish Line.
That's fair. Shout out to Bayshore Finish Line. If you work there with me, you know who you are. Appreciate it. Are you still on the hunt for the Air Zoom Citizen? Yes, I check eBay.
People love
Outstanding citizen.
People love the whole incident I had with Kendrick Lamar. Keep on getting people are like, we want round two.
$9.99 coming from Rafi Collect saying this money goes to your YouTube channel. Dope podcast, fellas. Thank you, Rafi. By the way, should we get to the meat of this thing?
We should. I feel like we could talk forever, though. I want to ask, do we need to extend the banter on the episodes in general? Put it in the chat if you want to hear more of us talking. You know, sometimes I think that we're just getting started. You know, it's a great day in New York City. It's snowing out. We're back in the studio together.
Would it be weird if we?
He's interrupting as usual.
No, we're talking about banter. Would it be weird? Maybe just thinking out loud. What would you guys think if we did banter, did the episode, and then did banter at the end, just us?
I don't know. The only thing is I get tired sometimes.
Bonus banter. Yeah, once that thing wraps, I'm ready to.
Brendan's back's about ready to.
my spine needs some help. Somebody keeps saying me collecting Nike SBs in my parents' basement. We didn't have a basement, so that's just
I remember,
not accurate.
I remember, okay. $20.
$20 from Zach saying, JLP, Welty, and Brendan, thank you for all you guys do and allow so many great designers and culture icons to have a stage and voice. The Yinzer. I don't know what that last part means.
Thank you guys.
You don't know what a Yinzer is? Someone who's from Pittsburgh.
Wow, okay.
No, I apologize.
Thank you guys so much for the donations. Also, I know you're watching this, but for the audio, please leave a comment, subscribe on the Apple.
Wherever you listen.
Yeah, wherever you listen. You know, Apple Podcasts,
we love those comments. We read the comments.
We read every single one, and we've seen that there's been a recent uptick in rating and comments. We read all the comments, so please leave comments on wherever you consume our podcast. That's Friday, 6 a.m., Friday mornings.
Yeah.
But I think, listen, we talked about banter. We cracked a lot of jokes, but
now we got to talk about the reason why we're getting paid and the reason why we're here.
Exactly. The reason why we are here, the Complex Sneaker of the Year book, the best since 1985. So many people worked on this. You know, we've said it a lot of times. I want to say it straight to camera. The people who internally helped us put this together. So many people worked hard on this. We are so very thankful. I'm super thankful that we get to talk about this book and just the people who wrote the chapters, the photography, the art and design.
Absolutely.
And we can't thank you guys enough.
The editors.
The editors, of course. And we say it on the audio, but I want to make it clear. Thank you guys internally, our team at Complex, the Complex family, and our writers who worked, you know, that we're going to get into one of the chapters on I think the Jordan 11 that Drew Hamill wrote.
Yeah.
And
Nike Stories on Instagram.
Yeah, Nike Stories. Go follow him on Instagram. But let's talk about it. So what we did today is we basically picked a few chapters that it was almost too close to call. And I want to talk to you guys. I'm going to volley to you guys about, let's start with, what are we starting with, 1995?
Right.
1995, the Jordan 11.
We got bull shoes here.
Okay, Matt Welty.
Here we go, if you guys want to.
Both shoes, 1995, the Jordan 11 and the Air Max 95.
Can I interrupt? Because somebody gave us $100. They said, loving all the content and free Palestine.
Thank you so much for the donations.
All
Listen, we're humbled. Thank you, guys.
Here are the two shoes that we chose between.
Yes, so 1995, the chapter. Welty clearly just wants to get to business. Take us through, I want to volley to you guys.
Yeah.
Take us through what went into that. And obviously two iconic sneakers, very, very close to call. There it is, the Jordan 11, so much history, but I don't know who wants to kick it off and talk about these two sneakers.
Should we say though that this is which one we chose?
Yeah,
Yeah.
People should know. Yeah, this was the winner. This was the sneaker of the year of 1995 for, you know, a lot of reasons. I guess maybe people have rewritten history a little bit in recent time, but I would say there was a time where people would say that this is the greatest Air Jordan of all time.
Yeah.
A lot of people might say 1, 3, or 4 at this point, but I would say maybe 5, 6 years ago, if you ask what's the greatest Air Jordan ever, it's the Air Jordan 11.
And I also think the Jordan 1, as crazy as it sounds, the Jordan 1 is so popular, but I do think there's a mainstream recognizability to the Air Jordan 11 because of that shiny patent leather.
Yeah.
I feel like we always talk about non-sneakerheads like you hear from your aunt when the chunky dunky comes out, but that Jordan 11 everyone has seen, and they've seen the Jordan 1 to be fair, but that patent leather around the shoe, such an iconic design, and it started with you could talk about it. Seems like MJ wanted something that you could wear with a tuxedo.
Right. I mean, and just again, that shininess and that kind of formal aspect to it. I'm not a big fan of the sneakers with the suit look, but that was always kind of part of the mystique around it. And I think also that shininess and that patent leather, think about how different this shoe looks versus the other Jordans that were coming out at that time. I mean, kudos to Tinker Hatfield who designed the shoe, because every Jordan that was coming out at that time was such a
Kind of
distinct
iteration.
story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like the Jordan 11 also was so integral to Michael Jordan's comeback and for that 72 and 10 season. And then it had like the Space Jam moment. So there's all these pop cultural things that tie into it. And this book, Complex Sneaker of the Year, the best since '85, basically every single year we're looking at, in that year, what is the best sneaker that came out. For 1995, we chose the Jordan 11, and then we chose as
The honorable mention was
the Air Max 95.
Come on, the classic.
And we are looking at these shoes in the year they came out, but I think we're also, when we consider these things, considering their retro life. And if you think about the gigantic imprint that the Jordan 11 has had on retro sneakers, and it's a holiday event. Again, local news channels every year are going to cover the big Jordan 11 release
or
in December.
if you guys want, not to plug the podcast every single 2 seconds, but we do have an early on episode where we go through all the Air Jordan 11 holiday releases. So if you want to know how that goes.
Somebody gave us another $99.99. This can't be. Is this really USD? I'm sorry for the listeners on the podcast to keep interrupting, but Jose Robles says, "You guys are awesome. I enjoy all your videos. Keep up the great work." Is that really USD?
I don't know, but
Yes,
someone
it
said JLP had laser Jordan 15s. What?
They're disqualifying you from the conversation.
That's like the worst shoe of all time. Yeah, but this shoe, like you said, all the holiday releases, it had massive. Told the story working at Foot Locker when the Space Jams came out. How crazy that was. My pair got sold by the manager to the manager of the Foot Action, the mall, who had bought 8 pairs that day. And so, fuck you.
Okay, well, but let me ask you guys, and think about it. I remember the 72-10 one. Wasn't that like breaking records? And then
million pairs.
Didn't like the Jubilee even this year?
There was a span there when Nike would, on its earnings call afterward, in successive years, designate that Jordan 11 as like the biggest launch that they ever had at
Most
Nike.
pairs, yeah.
How many pairs they were able to blow out in a matter of days, seconds, minutes, you know what I mean?
And if you guys want another good story, tune into or go back and watch the Derek Curry episode of the Complex Sneakers podcast, where he talks about the DMP Air Jordan 11 in 6-packs.
Yes.
And him like breaking into the mall and cutting lines and coming out with like 40
Donnie,
boxes of those.
I think that's an important aspect of the Jordan 11 too. I feel like it was one of the first sneakers, even before then, like around Cool Gray and Space Jam in the early 2000s, that had people lining up for shoes or really made it an event sneaker. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's some CNN video maybe from the early 2000s that people used to pass around online. I think from a Cool Gray Jordan 11 release at a mall that people lining up, and it was so novel at the time.
Cool Gray, one of my favorites. I remember my first year of college, actually the summer, graduating high school and then going into college, I was on like a eBay Jordan 11 kick, the white and red lows. White and red lows, Cool Gray 11s I got off eBay. I was saving up for them, and I wanted to go to college basically with like a bunch of Jordan 11s. Such an iconic shoe. But let's get to the honorable mention. Welty, I know that you have such like...
I love...
talk about the Air Max 95.
Big fan of it. I think it's tough, Brendan, when we talk about these shoes, obviously the Air Jordan 11 releases are bigger, but the shoe for the longest time was kind of like, it didn't really come out that often.
Yeah.
To own a pair, you had to go through hell and high water to try and get them. Not saying the Air Max 95s weren't rare, limited, or expensive or anything, because they were a very expensive running shoe, but I think a lot more people interacted with this sneaker more in their daily lives.
Interesting.
easier to get a pair.
Less precious in a way.
Yeah, for a lot of people across a lot of subcultures, this shoe's like a uniform sneaker. I'm sure, Joe, in sneaker shopping too, you hear a lot of stories about people growing up in Air Max 95 being a important shoe to them. And this was the first Nike running shoe that Nike kind of marketed not as like a performance running shoe. It celebrated like the culture.
I remember Tinker Hatfield saying in an old interview, I think from Sneaker Freaker, how he didn't really love the Air Max 95 because it was clear to him that it wasn't a true running shoe, at least based partly on that upper.
Yeah, and the shoe itself is made to represent the human body. It's like the layers of the fibers. This is like the rib cage. The lungs are in the bubbles.
By the way, shout out to Ben Felderstein, who wrote this honorable mention blurb page mini chapter in the book. Thank you to him. Thank you to everybody who contributed, like Joe said, to the book. We kind of have been promoting the book a lot, but there's a lot more people than just us who contributed this. Sorry?
No Kith.
I said just us. Is that right?
Made a joke.
Got you. And also, I do agree with you though, Welty. It's funny because the Air Max 95, even though we chose it as the runner-up for this year, and I do think that's the correct decision. I think the Jordan 11 is a bigger, better shoe if you consider history. But also, it's funny because I feel like, and Joe, let me know if you disagree, but the Air Max 95 is a sneaker that all of us wear way more than the Jordan 11, right? Like, we've worn Air Max 95s a lot.
Also, I would say, the Neons just dropped recently. It seems like we all...
People get excited for them.
Yeah, and I picked up a pair. How many Jordan 11s have we bought recently that, even though they release... every year we said basically around holiday or kind of.
You wear 95s a lot too, to a certain extent. You always wear
Coral Studios.
Coral Studios, one of my favorite Air Max 95s. I wore those for the Bape sneaker shopping episode. I wore the Denham. Is that how you pronounce it? The Denham for Jason Sudeikis. I love the 95s, and I remember having fond memories. Like you said, you talked about overseas and things like that, but we had Gucci on the show, and he was like, the hustlers were wearing Air Max 95s because it was the most expensive shoe, and I always wanted to have the most expensive sneaker at the time when he was hustling. So
95 Air Max because I'm a dope runner.
Absolutely. See, look. We got a couple more chats that are donating that I have to call out. Again, I apologize for the interruptions, gentlemen. But Icy Souls 23 again with $9.99 saying banter should be 10 to 15 minutes long, and the podcast should be an hour and 30 minutes long.
What? That's the reverse.
And they also want to know if Welty got the Union Guava Jordan 4s.
Nope, because I want to pay retail. I know that's never going to happen.
How are you going to pay retail?
Sort him out if you can. And also, they're saying that we need to make Joe wear more white sneakers in 2021. That's a tough mission. And then Sean Laramie said, I would much rather have a signed book by my heroes than a store-bought one. I've been a listener and watcher since day one. Thanks for all you do. Should we get a book to Sean Laramie?
Absolutely. Yep.
Sean Laramie, this isn't just because you donated $5 in the chat, though we do appreciate that, but we are getting you a signed copy of the book.
Exactly. Look at that.
The last thing I want to say about this shoe, it's kind of like a shitty luck of the draw, because if you look at the book, if you go through all the chapters, almost any other year, this would have won Sneaker of the Year. But 1995 is like, you're just up against a juggernaut where it's just it's a luck of the draw, and it didn't win. But 1996
so many good Air Max 95s. So. And there's still a lot of Air Max 95s that I think about that I want. Stash Air Max 95s.
But I was going to
Running Man Air Max 95s. The Mita version with the black tongue.
Yeah.
But guys, the Stash Air Max 95, I was going to order it in an earlier podcast.
I remember they were going to fall apart.
You guys told me no because the sole would fall apart.
And then we ended up having Stash on the podcast, which is a great
I remember, Stash Air Max 95, you know whose shoe that was? That was a big Noah Callahan beverage.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Shout out NCB.
Yes.
Okay. Should we move on to the next chapter that we're going to discuss here?
Yes.
In the Complex Sneaker of the Year book. What's the next chapter we're talking about?
2002.
Okay.
2002 Nike, hold on, SB era. 2002. This is the thing I like about.
You've got one.
Yeah, look, he got both of you guys have Nike SBs. Put it to the camera. Put it on them. 2002. Hold on. So this is the thing about the Nike SB. We see now the recent reemergence and prices exploding. The guy to my right loves, he doesn't love anything more to see, okay? You know what I'm about to say.
Yeah, I know exactly where you're going, Joe.
When a celebrity brings out an old Nike SB Dunk,
Yes.
and people react to it, and
Yes.
people like it, and chatter starts happening online on Twitter. My guy to the right loves nothing more than saying these sat in skate shops. What these dunks?
This pair was never good.
This pair was never good. I think the recent example you did was the golf dunk.
Let's be real though, because we were all there.
Yes, but
that was never even a remotely popular shoe.
all right, but were people? Did the prices explode on those?
Yes.
They did.
Yeah, they're like over
Wow.
$800.
And why did they explode?
because
Just
Travis Scott wore
so
them.
we can be explicit about it.
But the thing about 2002 and the Nike SB Dunk, and who wrote this chapter?
This is Anthony Papalardo, right?
Yes, Anthony
Okay.
Papalardo, not the skateboarder. A skateboarder, not the professional
Not
skateboarder.
a skateboarder, but not the skateboarder.
Yes.
What I loved about how he wrote in this book and what he captured is that.
Oh, sorry, it wasn't Anthony Papalardo.
Excuse me?
Okay, well.
Sorry, he wrote the half cab chapter. It was Justin Tejada.
Oh, Justin Tejada.
Do not want to mix that one up.
Excuse
Justin Tejada. Shouts to Justin Tejada, one of the nicest guys. I met him. You know, the Jordan. Another connection. The Jordan press trip in Chicago. My favorite press trip that I always talk about on the
Yeah.
Complex
Yeah.
Sneakers podcast, where I had the jersey on.
Yeah,
and
you always talk about it. We remember.
No, hold on.
Well,
no.
yeah, we remember.
They
Go
announced.
on.
They announced. I ran out. Michael Jordan came out. I was in a scrimmage. I dropped 3 points, six turnovers, 4 fouls in 10 minutes of play. But Justin Tejada, I met him on that press trip. Nicest guy. He
Also,
wrote this.
Very short-lived Complex employee, the original editor of Green Label.
Yes, you didn't have to say. Okay, short.
No, he was only here for like a month or so. You know?
I think he was here more than that, but okay.
Don just gave us $6.99 Canadian, I believe, saying Tuesday afternoon break-worthy content. Thanks. Thank you, Don. We appreciate it. Back to the chapter.
Okay,
John.
so the chapter, what I loved, what Justin wrote is that we see it now, we see Nike SB Dunks, and we think that they're the hottest thing going. When it first started, there was a lot of kind of
Controversy.
reluctancy
Trepidation.
to this whole era of Nike SB, and he talks about it in this chapter. And Welty, you know, you were there, you guys both talk about how it didn't pop off right away and have a rise right away.
I would say during that era, like 2002, not talking about like the golden era of
Right.
Nike SB, which is like 05 to
yeah, for sure.
07. But 2002, I remember like this is still when I was like heavy skateboarding. That was my life, like subscription to Thrasher magazine and all that. And I remember when SB first came out because as a kid, you'd open the skate mag and like go through all the ads, and it kind of informed you pre-internet like what was cool, what was coming out. And Nike SB had like the last page in all the new Thrasher issues that were coming out, and with the original skate team with people like Reese Forbes and Richard Mulder. And I remember loving those skaters, but at the time, skaters thought Nike was whack. You know, it's crazy to think now, or even in general, that people would hate Nike. You know.
Well, they looked at it as like they were
Posers,
they were coming into their territory. Skateboarders, always have like this kind of niche, cool, close knit, and Nike, the big corporation, coming in, and it's like, oh, so now all of a sudden we're making Nike skateboarding shoes, and like I said, there was some reluctancy, but then the models and the storytelling. How would you guys say, even though it started a little rough, how long did you think it took to take off?
I mean, a lot of those, it's crazy because you look back at it and we're talking about like the resale price on, you know, sometimes models that didn't have as much cultural impact within the wave of Nike SB. But then there's also some models from the early era that almost time forgot to,
like what?
To some extent, like I would say like that shoe, like the Richard Mulder, the one, if it's like the all white pair with the
blue swoosh.
with the blue swoosh. And in my head, I'm like, that's a shoe that, and I don't know what the resale value is on it, but I'm imagining it's not, you know, as much as some other shoes, but in your head, you're like, that one should sell for more than this one because that shoe was like this historically important.
Big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I want to mention, sorry, I got to mention them every single time we have another person. Chris Herm 13 giving $4.99 in the chat saying, I'm in the military station in Alabama and this podcast gets me through every day of work. Thank you for your service.
Yes,
Guys,
thank you very much.
Since we're taking things back to 2002, we're talking about the early era of the Nike SB Dunk, which I think was a big shoe for all of us. Do you guys remember the first SB Dunks that you ever got? I know we must have talked about this on here before.
We definitely did. I don't know about the first ones that I got. Everyone knows the one that I went crazy over. Say it together.
Tiffany Dunks?
Tiffany Dunks.
Right.
I was
got
calling
the fake pair.
I got a fake pair by someone who actually worked at Complex. They don't work here anymore. But I was calling the skate shop in Bayshore Special Sauce 6 times a day, disguising my voice. Hey, the Tiffany Dunks in yet? I think I had MLP, Mom La Puma, call up a couple times and ask for if the Tiffany Dunks were in. I never got them. That was the one that I never got. I recently got them. But the story that I always love, and I'll get to it quick. I was walking. There used to be a Jewish deli next to Special Sauce, and they had great pastrami sandwiches. So I go to get a pastrami sandwich and walk next to Special Sauce. In the window, they had the J rods, the P rods that Tinker Hatfield did.
Yeah, with the elephant print.
With the elephant print, I still have those, and I remember just being like, how are these still in the window? There's no way that you guys have sizes. And back then, even though SBs were really getting some hype behind them, I walked in, got my size, and it was like such a win because that hasn't even happened. I mean, it's happened few and far between even since then.
You kind of had to know back then to a certain degree, and I feel like sometimes that's when, and not to go too deep into it, when people will, I don't want to gatekeep or anything. I'm not talking about that, but like
he doesn't want to gatekeep.
No, hold on.
Okay.
Since when?
Wow, what a new. Okay, 2021, a New Year's resolution.
I don't.
Go ahead.
No, but I think we've had a discussion on Full Size Run with Reese LaFleur before, where he was like, you kind of knew if someone actually was into SBs back in the day or not, because not everyone was into the shoes because they were hard to get, they were hard to come by. You couldn't just walk into Foot Locker and pick them up like a pair of Retro Air Jordans or Air Maxes, So it's like that, like you're saying, even though they were hard to come by, there was a lot of people who didn't even know how to get these shoes because they were sold at non-traditional footwear stores, and you had to even know where these stores were located because they weren't located in malls.
I was so hyped the first time. I think it was when I moved to college when I finally lived somewhere. This was in Eugene, Oregon, that had an SB account, a store called Tactics there, and I was excited because I had been buying SBs before then, but I had to buy them online or through catalogs or things like that, or figure out a way to get them. I mentioned on here before buying a pair at Ross that wasn't Dunks, but being able to actually go to a local skate shop and get SB Dunks was such a special thing to me because they felt, for a period, they're so inaccessible. This is like 2007, 2008, around there. Wealthy, I don't know if you have said it on here, and forgive me.
I think
so, but your first pair of SB Dunks.
What?
Go ahead. Sorry.
The first pair I ended up getting, I feel bad because I remember going. I think it was 05, and I went to this store called Just for Feet in Manahawkin, New Jersey. It was like a skate shop, and they had some SBs on the wall. They also had athletic shoes, which was a weird thing, but I think they had the Era Dunks.
Yeah,
they had those
Irish
there.
pair. Yeah.
And I looked at them, and this is an era when crazy color shoes really weren't the thing yet. And I was like, those shoes are awesome, but I'll never be able to wear those. Like, why am I going to buy a pair of white, orange, and green sneakers? Like, what am I going to wear them once a month? Which is funny now because we're like, if you wear your sneakers once a month, you're like, I wear these a lot.
Yeah.
But so passed on that and bought a pair of all white sneakers, which was stupid, and I hate myself.
A pair of Dunks or just like a random all white?
I think they were like it was a Nike like Legend or something like that.
Got you.
And then in 06, I ended up finally getting a pair of the Crimson Dunks.
Yep.
So that was the first pair that I got.
Nice. A few more chat people that we have to call out. Sorry to interrupt the people listening on audio, but we have Don giving us another $6.99 in Canadian, saying, sorry, Don, forgot his Canadian money, LOL, here's a bit more. And then 23 Cartel, $4.99 from them as well, saying, copped a signed book from Complex Land for my brother and not for myself. Bless a brother with first cop of the year, need this read. Should we give 23 Cartel a book? I mean, they got one for their brother. I think we can give them a signed book, right?
Go ahead, you make that call. How many do we have?
Go off, King.
23 Cartel, in the name of brotherhood.
3 left.
In the name of brotherhood, we only have 3 left. We have a lot left in this fucking podcast.
I know. Actually, how long is this supposed to be? We only have 10 minutes left.
We'll rock with the people for a little bit longer.
We need to briefly mention, though, the runner-up shoe, because it's very much in the vein of the SB Dunk, that whole era, the Bape Bapestas.
Oh, Bape Bapestas. And I'll tell you, what brought me back to the Bape era? Should we?
Kid Cudi?
Yep.
Not Kid Cudi.
Oh. That's what I was thinking.
The Pharrell Drinks Champs.
Oh yeah.
Interview.
Yes. I feel bad. I feel like we're treading some familiar territory on here in terms of the Complex Sneakers podcast.
I know, but that's
universe.
okay. They want to be familiar.
Yeah, it's like you're hanging out with us on the couch.
Absolutely. And I know we're repeating ourselves, but some of these, if you haven't listened to the Complex Sneakers podcast, this is a different platform. We're on YouTube. Yeah. Wherever you could get podcasts, 6 a.m. Friday mornings. Definitely go. If you haven't listened to us weekly, I think you guys would really enjoy it. You guys get to see a little bit of what's happening now, but even more in depth. Another donation Anyone get that Henry Hill vibe? Wow, these chats move quick. When interviewing Sonny, let's get that signed book, okay?
$25, that was from Josh Goodman. Thank you, Josh. Here's the thing. Also, you can just go buy the books.
You can.
Yeah.
So we appreciate the donations for sure, and we'll put that money to good use somehow if they ever let us have it. But this book is available wherever you buy books, and there's a link to it also in the description of this YouTube video. So if you want the book, buy the book.
And also what I would say is obviously we're in different times, so we can't be outside, but if you guys got books, and I think that once we are allowed to go outside, we're going to do in-person book signings when everything's safe, whenever that would be. We're really excited to, we think about if this was different, we would probably be pulling up to stores around the country,
Yeah.
and we
book
definitely
tour on my David
yeah,
Foster
a
Wallace
book
shit.
tour. We definitely want to get as much signed as possible. But yeah.
Speaking of the book, though, just to kind of put a pin in the 2002 discussion, what do you guys think was a bigger flex, not just in 2002, but maybe that whole era of like 02 to like 08 or that general time? Having a pair of rare SBs or having a pair of real Bapestas?
To me, the Bapestas were on a different level. Even though there were SBs that were rarer, and I think there were more of them on that tier, we got a lot of donations flowing in, and we appreciate all those.
Yes.
We'll get to them. But to me, Bapesta was like another level of mythical.
I know.
And so insane, like the colorways.
If you weren't in New York, it was like you couldn't get the shoes.
Yeah.
No. It was kind of like it was kind of like a unattainable thing. Even going to the store, we talked about how it was super expensive, and then you have kind of like the most influential figure, the one who our North Star at the time, Pharrell, wearing it nonstop, and it's
And
just,
even Kanye,
and Kanye, of course, yeah. Bigger flex, though, that's a good question. I think both, but you know
I
what?
think you knew people went through different level of hoops to get the Bapes. Like if you saw someone with Bapes who wasn't from New York, they're like either they're fake or they're really like in this shit.
I want that pink, brown, and white.
Yeah.
That's like the classic one.
Yeah.
And that hasn't released in a while, has it? You know which one I'm talking about.
I know the exact one
Ego
you're
did the
talking
Adidas in the same colorway this year.
Yeah.
Same, but yeah.
It's going to be a big year for Bapestas too. I think they're planning a little bit of a comeback. I want to mention an important donation in the chat. Carlos Rubio for $9.99 saying Mamba forever.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
He said the Russ Bankson episode is one of my favorites.
Yes.
Russ Bankson, somebody who interviewed the late legend Kobe Bryant a number of times, of course, and talked about his memories of him. So please listen to the Russ episode if you need some good Kobe content today.
Also,
He
Mark
said,
Echo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mark Echo talked about Kobe as well. He said, Kobe tribute and Chicago press trip. Thank you all for being amazing contributors to the sneaker space. Thank you for contributing to the donation.
Yes. I think we should get to the next chapter.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so the next chapter, 2009. I wrote the chapter. 2009 was early in my complex career, and I remember Bradley Carbone, who was our lifestyle and sneaker editor, he basically gave me my start. And 2009 was very special because there was this guy named Kanye West who was...
May have heard of him.
Yeah, may have heard of him, who's at the time like the most influential person. And anytime he wore a jacket or some jeans, and I think he was doing a column for us off and on called Kanye's Fashion Beatdowns, where he would critique celebrities' outfits. But then it was time for Kanye to get into footwear. And he partners up with Nike, 2009, and everyone's wondering, like, you know how it is now, an album drops and it's like trash or classic in 12 hours.
Right.
And that's how it really was, kind of, to be honest, it's
Classic,
like that. It's
classic
like,
track list,
Exactly. It's kind of like that for footwear, but the world was waiting for Kanye to unveil his Nike design. And let me tell you, the Nike Air Yeezy, go to their camera.
Got a pair.
I brought these from home. These were the first pair, the first colorway of the Nike Air Yeezy.
I wish we could hit the lights right now.
And you got these free $99.
Okay, so another story.
How did you get
another
these?
story. Bradley Carbone, Peter Rubin, I think maybe even Donnie Kwok, who is now our GM. They were working on this big story and Complex actually got the exclusive and on the Nike Air Yeezy 1. And I remember that there was like 5 to 10 people working on this story, just like the book, like top editors and photography and things like that. And Nike blessed us with the exclusive images. If you Google Nike Air Yeezy 1, the cleanest images online are still from Complex. They may not, there may be some watermark, but they may not be. But don't get it twisted that Complex had the exclusives in those pages of the magazine. So people are working on the Air Yeezy spread, and it comes out great. Again, I just remember being in the photo studio with Bradley Carbone and like, talk about being the worst photographer. Here, another story is that they tried to get me to be when I was an intern to be a photographer.
Joe had like a shaky hand,
I
couldn't
never
pay
told
attention.
that.
Really?
Let me tell you something. They tried to get me to be a photographer, and they were just like, you just press the button. I was the worst photographer. It didn't work out at all. And I just remember Bradley shooting these, but I remember Nike sending the samples, not even sending them. I think someone came and delivered them like in a bag and had to stay with the shoe. And
it was like they had an armed guard with them,
exactly, like no NDA. It wasn't even NDAs. It was like, no, we're hand delivering the shoes. So Bradley, I remember he had like these cubes and he was placing the sneakers on all 3 colorways. My favorite colorway, black and pink of these. What do you guys like?
I go back and forth. Honestly, at the time in 2009, I really wanted the black and pink pair, but they all look incredible. They're all, what's going on in the
I mean,
chat
I have to interrupt. If you were really in the streets, you know Janowski's are better than the Yeezy one. Come on, bro.
Zachary James.
Zachary James, I love you, but come on.
No.
You're not. Listen, before the podcast, we talked about the Janowski's. They were honorable mention, right?
Yeah, for this year.
The only like the
street.
street.
And Welty hates the Janowski's, so that's funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah, and the funny part is he says if you were really in the streets, and like the streets he's talking about are on Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
We can't give him a book?
Okay.
We can't get that guy a book?
How many do we have left?
We have 3 books left.
I don't know. That's pretty funny.
Let's get him a book. Let's get Zachary James a book.
Jokes.
Zachary James, Jaimes. You're getting a book.
And that was actually
yes,
a little bit of complex history. That was my first ever interview for when I was
Kanye West, the Air Yeezy one?
No.
Zachary James?
No.
Oh.
My first ever interview was a branded content piece, and I interviewed Stefan Janowski and Stevie Williams together.
Oh, all right, that's good.
So, but it just
Stevie Williams.
Joe said you wasn't with me shooting for the spread.
Yes. Yeah, I thought the first
Tell us about
interview.
your free Yeezy.
Okay, so yes, sorry, got sidetracked.
Is this maybe a sample pair?
No.
Have you ever looked? Does it say like promo shipped to Beaverton?
Was this
You
the
check.
Was
All
this
right.
the shoe you told us about where you were like?
I don't know. You were in Beaverton. I still haven't finished the story, but go ahead.
Were you like an intern and you were like standing on like a table at Gold Bar? And,
I
like,
was
your
not an
Yeezys?
intern. I was not an intern.
I feel like an intern right now looking through Joe
I was not an intern.
decades old sneakers for the Beaverton
Bad angle
tag.
too. I was not an intern, but 2009, still early in my career. So we did the article. Magazine comes out. Everyone loves it. It goes online. And around 2 weeks later, a box shows up. A box shows up to the Complex office. If you know the Complex Sneakers podcast, the guy to my left starts literally 95% of the podcast looking for packages, okay? Brendan Dunn.
Fair.
Sometimes he gets off the Zoom. Sometimes we have to take a 5-minute break because he's waiting for packages.
Duty calls.
23rd Street Complex office. A box shows up. And it just, I think it was addressed to Bradley. And all of a sudden, there's around 8 pairs of these from Nike as thank yous. And please don't finish the story. Yeah, it took a while to get it took a while to get here. But a big box. We opened the box. There's 8 pairs of these Yeezys for all top editors, for writers, for the photographers. And it was just like, how many times? We've worked together for how long?
Since at least I met you in 2012.
Okay, so eight or 9 years essentially.
9, yeah. Mm-hmm.
How many times has a big box from a brand showed up and like 7 of us got sneakers? Never.
It happened once, thanks to Brando.
The Flyknit, Nike Flyknit, the black on black Nike Flyknits. Okay, so once in 8 years. So big box shows up. We all get these Yeezy ones. Who said there was a party downtown? I remember Reason Clothing. You guys remember Reason Clothing?
Yes.
We're going so deep right now.
I know, because this is when I'm on camera, we go deep, okay? Okay. Listen.
Say the line again? Say the line again, Joe?
On YouTube, listen.
Say the line again?
No.
We're on camera, you go deep?
No, I'm saying this is different. This is a special treat. We want to be on YouTube. We got to give the stories
Yeah,
up.
go deep.
Okay. There's a party downtown like the day that I get these.
Yeah.
And Kanye had a verse. He says something. I got the Yeezys on my feet, and being a bushy-eyed young person in my career, I take off the Yeezys and I hold it in the air, like, because we had them early.
Yeah.
We also all had them early. And just like, and then a photographer was there, and it was like the highlight of the party was when Joe LaPuma put the Yeezys in the air.
That's what they said on page 6.
Yeah, and I wish that it wasn't page 6. It was like some blog, New York City blog, but I wish that that photo exists online. But Nike Air Yeezy 2009, we're talking about stories, but also talk about the significance. It lived up to the significance. I think in this chapter, PJ Tucker said that this was, I think, a top 5 shoe of all time.
A lot of people say that this shoe hasn't aged that well, and this is actually the one Yeezy that I still really want. And Joe, I have a similar story. I was in a vastly different position, and I didn't get the shoes back then for free from Nike. I didn't get the shoes at all, and I still don't have them. But I remember in 2009 how hard that shoe was going to be to get, and being on the Nike Talk thread a lot, trying to figure out how I could possibly get it. And it never happened, but I remember I was in college at the time, and the Roots were coming to town, and you know Questlove, you know he's a huge sneaker guy, and I knew he would have access to the shoes, and I remember going to see the Roots at the McDonald Theater in Eugene, Oregon, and the Roots came out while the lights were still down. So the lights in the venue are completely out, and I was right in the front, and I could see the soles of Questlove's sneakers glowing because he had the Yeezys on, and I was screaming, losing my mind, the Yeezys, oh my God. Just floating across stage. Beautiful moment.
And the thing is, like, all 3 colorways, I think we just talked about it. All 3
Each
colorways.
one is better than the other one.
Each one is better than the other. My favorite, of course, people know black and pink because I love black sneakers.
I want to know what
I like the tan ones.
The tan ones are great with the pink hit.
When the Yeezy first came out, the Nike Air Yeezy in 2009, were you trying, or did you care about it at all? 'Cause surely you liked Kanye West at the time. Obviously, you were well into sneakers. Like,
yeah, I didn't go for it. I obviously remember the shoe coming out, but I think on that time I was just massively into like huge like Air Max running shoe kick.
The Yeezy was just not.
Yeah, I wasn't wearing high top shoes. I mean, I still don't to this day for the most part, but wasn't really wearing them. So for me, it was just, I wasn't, not that I didn't think the shoe was great, I just wasn't personally like, I needed those. And back then the ideas of like hitting on something and reselling it like didn't really exist.
Yeah.
So
No, that's not what I was thinking. Yeah.
No way.
yeah, so you're not just, not everyone's, back then I felt like everyone didn't try to go and get a shoe because they knew what the value was going to be. You know what I mean? So
we got a good roast in the chat.
What?
Wait, did you see something in the chat that you like, Joe?
I've seen a lot of stuff, but you go.
No, go ahead, please.
No. Someone just said that they send you shutter shades. That's pretty funny. Go.
I saw Pedro Cordova saying Dunn went specifically to see the sneakers and doesn't know any of the Roots music. That is not true, but I do appreciate you getting the jab off. So maybe we can give Pedro a book. I think we have 2 more books to give away. Do we want to give Pedro a book for that?
Yeah,
for
your call.
disrespecting me blatantly?
Yeah, your call.
Okay.
I like when they give a little jab sometimes. You know, a playful jab. We're here for it.
Pedro Cordova, we're giving you the book. To the people listening to the podcast, the audio version of this, we appreciate you.
Yes.
And we're sorry we don't have any books to give away to you, but these books are for sale.
Yes, they are for sale.
In a load of places, and you can get them. They won't be signed, but we're going to figure out more ways. So we have 1 more book to give away. We have a little bit more time left on the program here. Do we want to talk? Joe, go ahead.
One thing I want to say, someone keeps asking, when's the podcast merch dropping? I need the hat that JLP was wearing. We all have the Complex Sneakers Podcast dad hat.
Yeah.
We want to get those. If you want, drop a 8 in the chat if you want to get the Complex Sneakers Podcast hat, because we got to get that.
An 8?
Yeah, that's my favorite number, 8.
Oh, you don't do F in the chat to pay respect?
I don't know what that is. What is the F in the chat? What is that? I see that all the time.
Press F in the chat.
Is that like such a boomer moment for me?
But just press the F in the chat.
F in the
if you want
chat.
the Complex
Drop a F in the
Sneakers
chat
dad
if you want the Complex Sneakers Podcast hat.
Let me say this. Can we do a fitted? Because I have a large head, and like the standard dad hat cap thing is never going to work for me. So I need like a 7 3/4 fitted.
Also, the idea of Brendan Dunn in a fitted is just
I have never seen. Look at all the 8s. They want the Complex Sneakers
funny.
Podcast, but we.
Well,
hat.
the 8s are going off.
It's a great dad hat, but yeah, look, we need those. So Complex, if you're listening, I know that there's some people on Complex who are listening to this. Wow.
Look at these going off.
Okay, we need to get the Complex Sneakers dad hat produced, and we need to get that online.
Also,
you guys have yours, right?
Yes, I personally want the names of all the 12 people who have downvoted this video so far and what the reasoning
relax,
is for doing
dude.
it.
First of all, this is on my channel. Relax. We have all right. This isn't on the This is on the Complex channel. 12 people.
Goodness.
Listen, that's okay.
That's their personal decision.
Yeah. All right. Look at one thing. So we talked about the book. I promise you guys, you're going to enjoy the book. It's different than any other sneaker book.
Yeah.
We've been there for all of them. No disrespect to any of them, but this really, really is different, and there's a lot of history, and the people who wrote the chapters were there, and they spoke to the right people, and it's definitely a history lesson. Yes, Welty, go ahead.
Good thing in the chat. Shout out our coworker who did some writing in the book, Brandon Richard, Be Rich.
Yes,
he's saying he's smashing 8 in the chat because that's the size fitted that Dunn wears.
Oh, I've never seen you in a fitted.
I've worn a couple fitteds behind it.
Okay.
So
listen, should we answer some questions really quick?
Yeah.
5 minutes. 5 minutes of rapid questions, and then we got to get out of here. We thank you guys so much for joining us. Definitely go get this book. Let's see the questions.
Oh, actually, and while we wait for some questions to roll in, I am going to read through the credits on the book and give a couple people's names who contributed to the book.
Please do.
So many times they go nameless, but Donnie Kwok, GM of Complex, is in here. Joe LaPuma, you know that guy. Ryan and Wyeth, Executive Creative Director.
Yes.
Gina, Associate Creative Director. Lucas Weisenthal, Director of Content Development, the guy who was asking us on Slack every single week to read it once again. Carissa Sanchez, Director of Content Strategy. Brendan Dunn, you know him. Matt Welty, yes. David Cabrera, Taylor Corsack, Marlon Calby, Gerald Flores, Damian Scott, Rich Antonello, Michael Herman at Wicked Cow. I mean, and so many more contributors. Like we said, Drew Hamill, Zach DeBasic, Ben Felderstein,
John Gotti,
Stefano, John Gotti, Riley Jones, Brandon Richard. This is an all-star cast of the best writers in the game. And if you don't yet have it, we might be able to give you one because we have one more book to give away, right?
We have one more book, and we're doing questions. Let's get some good questions. Let's pay attention to the chat. JLP, do you have any UConn inspired shoes? Yes, I actually have a Nike Air Force One ID that they sent me.
Okay.
JLP, why didn't you work at Special Sauce instead of South Shore Mall? You guys chime in. You guys are both looking at the book.
Good questions that he did all the questions.
You guys are both looking.
Don't you also have like a Karan Butler like bobblehead or something?
Yes, I do have a Karan Butler. It's not a bobblehead. It's actually a full-fledged statue. Favorite watch?
These questions are going by quick, so it's really hard to catch them. Do I collect Oregon PEs? If you listen to the Complex Sneakers podcast, you will remember on here me telling a story about having the Oregon Jordan 3s, the pit crew joints that I actually sold years ago. I think that's the only PE Oregon sneaker that I've ever had. So that's the answer to that question.
Okay.
When is the Welty versus Dunn sparring match?
When is that? I don't know. This guy's in shape. No, this also has a lot of anger.
No, the Welty versus Dunn, never. It's a training match. I will be under Welty's tutelage if that ever has to happen, because I don't know anything about that war.
Man, these questions are going really, really fast. We have one more book. JLP, did you get the Benjamin Kicks package? Yes, I did. He sent. Okay. He sent. All right, relax. He sent the Off-White 4s. Yes.
Thank you to Ben. From South Africa, a book, please. We might send one your way. We'll see if any other great contenders come up. A lot of people mentioning Premium Pete's pasta sauce.
It's highly co-signed.
Yeah.
MLP said, listen, MLP said it was better than Rayo's. MLP, Mama La Puma.
They wanna know your calves workout routine.
Calves is a lot of years of soccer, a lot of years of running track, and some genetics. My dad has big calves.
Okay. Welty, somebody asking, always references to our time in Malaysia. Do we like the Sneaker Law A6 Gel Light 3?
Yes, I wore them on full size run.
Okay.
Come on.
It's coming back Thursday.
Come on. Yeah. With special, no, we won't say who the guest was. Sorry, folks. It's really hard. We're honestly trying to read your questions, but they scroll by quite fast, so it is difficult. How is your last name, Lapuna, but your favorite kicks are New Balances? I don't even.
First of all, favorite kicks are not New Balance, but
respectfully.
Good joke, but I don't know if that gets you a book.
Yeah. People are asking what Welty has on feet. Welty, can you tell us the exact model of that?
These are the Adidas Consortium Response CL.
Okay.
Whoever's making the Endless Summer reference, DM me on Instagram. I will send you a book. In addition, I know what that is.
That's not the one.
That's not the one.
What is the reference?
Huh?
What is the reference?
That's why I'm sending it to this person, because it was something in passing. DM me on Instagram. We got to scroll up, and I got to get that. Whoever keeps writing the Endless Summer. So. Can
we get a game of footy between Joe, Brendan, and Welty?
Yeah. Game of what?
Footy. I think that's soccer.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. I played a little bit of soccer. Actually, soccer is the one sport that I ever played growing up. I played SSA as a 4th grader.
Okay, so you were an athlete.
A little
you
bit.
Played soccer and then transitioned to Pokemon, Magic.
I went straight from the field to the land center.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
To the hobby shop.
Yeesh.
When is Welty starting a
saw that?
fitness YouTube?
Oh, JLP is your back.
I saw it. You don't have to
What did
repeat
they
it.
say?
I saw it.
Okay, guys, I feel like we're almost ready to get out of here, but we do still have one more book to give away.
One more.
How can we give this last signed copy of Complex Sneaker of the Year, the best since 1985? How can we give away this last copy? And we promise you, when it shows up on your doorstep, whoever the lucky winner is, it will have Joe's signature on it, it will have my signature on it, and it will have, maybe slightly faded, but it will have Matt Welty's signature on it.
Yes. It's my B-Day.
How are we giving away this last book?
I don't know. Come on. They're going so quick. What do you think of ASICs? How does it feel? Okay. Do you still have...
We have somebody saying it's their birthday.
That's not provable.
Oh, and their name is Richard Lopez.
That's
Also not provable.
Okay.
All due respect.
Okay.
Look
at how fast they're going.
We're really
It's
getting
tough.
overwhelmed at this point.
This
Am
is
I going to
definitely
try
gonna-
the Puma gaming sneakers? No, probably not.
Jasmine, we're going to have to cut this from the audio portion for sure.
People asking if I play EDH? No, not a format for me.
What?
All due disrespect. It's a Magic the Gathering question.
Okay.
Joe, how far away are we from starting the Magic the Gathering spin-off section or segment or full show? You know what I mean? Because I feel like the people continue to ask for this type of content from me and from Complex.
We could greenlight it.
Yeah?
We could greenlight it. Donnie Kwok is in this
Is
chat.
the budget there?
We'll see. You may have to resell those dunks, but FS Army, Columbia. Oh my God.
By the way, a few things to remind everybody out there. If you want to listen to other episodes of the Complex Sneakers podcast, you can hit the link in the description of this video, and we have the whole archive there waiting for you. If you want to get the Complex Sneaker of the Year book, the best since 1985, please click the link in the description, and you can buy a copy for yourself. That one won't be signed. We are going to try and figure out how to make more signed copies available, as we go on. We do have one more signed one
Come
to
on,
give
guys.
away
Give us a
today,
good inside joke.
And I can't figure out, has it got pictures? It does have lovely pictures.
Yes, it does.
Shot by staff photographer David Cabrera. Thank you, David.
Shouts to Gina. It's literally my birthday. No way to prove it, unfortunately.
People asking if I miss Milo. I do, but also at the same time, I have a lot of Milo stashed away in the counters at home, in the pantry somewhere.
All right, we got it.
I got to just pick a name out of a hat for this last
We're
book.
losing people.
So this last book, how we're going to give it away. Let's do. I saw this one. Marcus Peterson said, "I would give the book to my friend whose grandpa is in the hospital right now because of COVID. My friend is a huge fan." Marcus Peterson, we are going to give you this, the last of the 10 signed copies of the Complex Sneaker of the Year, best since 1985 books we have available today. Best wishes to your friend's grandpa on a healthy recovery. For everybody else who didn't get a signed copy of the book today, like we've said multiple times, and for those listening to the podcast, you can buy it by clicking the link in the description. What else do we want to say to the people before we get out of here?
Just thank you guys for the support. As we said, you can listen to the Complex Sneakers podcast Friday mornings. We may see you guys on YouTube sooner than later. We hope you enjoyed this. Please leave a comment on the audio portion of the podcast, wherever you get it. Let us know your support. Let us know how you like the podcast episodes. We read every single comment. We are definitely trying to be on video more in 2021, three. We can't thank you guys enough for the support. And of course, please go buy the Complex Sneaker of the Year book. We promise that you will not regret it. Thanks so much for engaging with us. We appreciate the support. Sneaker shopping Mondays, 10 a.m. Full size run Thursdays, 6 p.m.
Yes.
And thank you for suffering through all the interruptions with everything. The 10 names again that we gave the books to for the people out there listening. This is Nazim Saliji, this is Leko Bess, Greg G, Small Eye John, Sean M, Sean Laramie, 23 Cartel, Zachary Hymas, Pedro Cordova, and Marcus Peterson. All of you are getting a signed book. Thank you for participating. And like we said, everybody else, you are welcome and encouraged to buy a book. And maybe if you catch us out there, we'll sign it for you. I keep the metallic Sharpie on me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. This has been the Complex Sneakers podcast, Sneaker of the Year book live stream. We will see you guys soon.